Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. or from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, but I am going to make an announcement about that today. Pardon me, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at New Life Ministries International.com and New Life International CDC.com, and those of you who use the QR code or the link provided on YouTube and Facebook, and for those of you who are now using Zelle, we thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you and with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to start off by reminding all of our listeners and viewers this is the last week for the FijiWater.com sponsored promo for this month. What you want to do is tune into our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com. The first three songs you hear at 11 a.m. or 6 p.m., text those three songs along with your name and your email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected each month for the remainder of this year to receive a case of Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. Now, I want to thank all of you because I realized that we had some technology issues. I mentioned with Facebook, watching live. You can watch live on the YouTube channel at Daily Divine Direction. But I noticed that we always look at the data that comes in, and so many of you have been tuned in to our internet radio station. We have another increase to announce, for lack of a better term, on our internet radio station. So thank all of you for continuing to listen to music that will empower you. It will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. So we want to thank all of you for your continued support and participation, being with us on this journey as we continue to spread what we know to be the truth. And that is that God is truly good. So we are thankful. And I want to announce to everyone today, you'll hear it here first, okay? We are back in our Achievers Academy, and we are looking at the time schedules. So it appears we'll be able to give you that 1 hour that you requested during the summer months. But during the school year, during the academic calendar, it's going to be very difficult for us to do that without, being the best version of ourselves that we can be. So we're going to be on the air during the academic calendar from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. When summer comes, we'll give you some 1 hour broadcasts. And if we have a guest on, or when our monthly contributors with us, we may do an hour. But when we are interviewing people, because our students are going to start doing that also through Zoom, when we interview people, we are maybe give you an hour then, but most days you're going to get from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So, scheduling permitted, be here with us. You don't want to miss this. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers today who indicated you find it difficult to deal with people who are not consistent. However, they always expect you to be there for them. However, you said, how do you address that without hurting someone's feelings? You know, I've said this and used this term over the years, and I'll say this again. First of all, you don't have to deal with people who are not consistent. That's a choice. You decide who you're going to deal with, and particularly when people are not consistent with you, but they expect you to be there whenever they call you. But most importantly, you're going to have to teach people how to treat you. You don't have to say anything to hurt someone's feelings. Just don't respond to them, or don't respond to their request. Or what I mean by that is, just say no. I'm not available. You teach them how to treat you, because if they're not going to be consistent, then what is the point of allowing them to disrupt, first of all, your psyche, second of all, disrupt the quality of your life, because you're trying to deal with them on a consistent basis, and they're being inconsistent. So one of the things we have to recognize is that people are always going to have an expectation of you. People are always going to have an expectation of others. But it's what we allow them to experience that's going to teach them how to treat you. And what I mean by that is this. If people are not being consistent with you, then you be consistent with them by not dealing with them. That's the way. The thing you have to ask yourself, the question you have to ask yourself is, why do you feel the necessity to be consistent with them according to their expectations, but they're never consistent with you, but you feel the necessity to facilitate what they request consistently? So, we can't not be all things to all people, first of all. We're not Jesus, we're not the Savior. Second of all, people just who are, first of all, either, in most cases, it's self-consumed. It's not just being self-centered. It's being self-consumed. They're all about self. And so when they're all about self, and that's a trait of inconsistent people. They're all about self. So they're never going to show up when you want them to do something or participate with you. But they're always going to expect you to be there when they want you to be there. So you have to decide, first of all, that you're just not going to deal with them. And second of all, you have to decide how you expect people to treat you. And then, I know your question was, how do you address it without hurting someone's feelings? You don't have to address it. It's not necessary. This is one of the problems that we all have also. It's not necessary to be heard. Sometimes silence speaks louder than your voice. Sometimes not responding is being heard. You don't have to say anything. You just don't do. If it's not going to enhance the quality of your life or give you some form of peace, whether it is, peace or peace that surpasses all understanding or perfect peace, if it doesn't give you peace, then you don't need to respond. If you don't address it, that is the answer. And then you have to do this. And I'm not suggesting that you should ever change being consistent. To teach people how to treat you, you don't have to then be inconsistent with them. You just have to consistently not give them what they want. And be consistent about it. If they ask you to do something, I'm not available. If they want something from you, either no or I'm not going to be able to do that for you right now. And let your answers be consistent, because otherwise you begin to send mixed signals. And what you don't want to do is send mixed signals. You want to make certain that you're concise about what you're doing and how you are responding to people. So don't deal with people who are inconsistent. It never, people who are not consistent will not empower your success. They will not add to the quality of your life. They're an asset, not a liability. Pardon me, they're an asset. They're not an asset, they're a liability. Pardon me. You got to recognize that. You've got to recognize that people who are not consistent are a liability. They'll never be an asset. I don't know how I got tongue-tied today, but they're always going to be a liability. They're either going to cost you time, money, or energy. They're a liability. An asset will enhance all of that. An asset will enhance your energy. They will inspire you. They will strengthen you. An asset will increase, not diminish your resources. And they will not waste your time. An asset only adds value to your time. So you have to realize that you don't have to deal with them. Sometimes it takes a while to know who they are. But once you find out who people are, you got to believe them. And you got to believe that no matter what your expectation might be for them, they are not going to be an asset to you. They're always going to be a liability. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication. It came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you really want to know how to get more out of your career. You said, however, even with a promotion, you still feel stagnant. Okay, so let me start by saying this. If you want to get more out of your career, your focus has to be on your career, not on your social life, not on, your dating life, not on, whatever it might be that is a distraction. You really have to focus on your career. But what I will tell you is this. If you want to get more out of your career, even after being promoted, do the job you have at a high level. Work for the job you want. And what I mean by that is, you've now been promoted, so you know what your job entails. You have a job description. Do everything on your job description every single day. And then pull the job description for the job that you want. And start finding ways to do that job also. Start finding ways to work at next level. You've got to do the job you have, so you have to perform at the highest level. You have to exceed expectations. Now, you were promoted because they saw you as an asset in whatever that category may be, or that segment of business may be. They saw you as an asset. And what they gave you was an opportunity. So now you have to explore that opportunity and maximize the opportunity that's been given. So you want to perform at a high level. You want to do it at the job at a high level. You want to maximize your performance. But then you work for the job you want. So every day you're doing two things in your career. You're doing your job at a high level and you're working for the job that you want. You are looking forward. You're working present. You're looking forward. And what that means is you don't get stressed out because it doesn't come as fast as you might want it to come. You don't allow anxiety to set in because you think your career is stagnant. You just have to keep doing your part and allow God to do the rest. Allow God to look at where you are and see through the eyes of God where He wants you to go. And He'll take you there, but you've got to do the work. You got to be willing to put in the work in every segment of business. And I'm going to do this for all of our listeners and viewers again. No one should be working less than minimum a 10-hour workday. And let me tell you the reason why. Because there are 5 major segments to business. Many of you have heard me say this before. There's administration, there's development, there's management, there's marketing, there's operations. That is 5 major segments of business. You should be allocating 2 hours of time each day for each segment of business. So if you've got 5 segments of business and 2 hours allocated per segment, you've got a 10-hour workday minimum. But between distractions and doing some work, most people don't work 8 hours a day. They'll put in maybe, watch this, 1 hour in each of those segments. Or they may not even put in 1 hour in each of those segments. They may miss a segment. So then they're not working 5 hours, they're working 4 hours. Working 4 hours. That is never going to allow us to maximize our careers or our success. So we have to take into consideration that if we're going to get the most out of our careers, we have to work at least a 10-hour workday. At least. I'm not talking about coming home and analyzing data after you get home, reviewing what your agenda for the following day. I'm just talking about 10 hours of consistent business activity. That's a 10-hour day. And then you want to get 8 hours of sleep a night so that you don't begin to suffer from sleep deprivation and you can perform at a high level. So now you're at 18 hours already, automatically. That leaves you a total of 6 hours. Because we all get the same amount of time every day. What are you going to do with your 24 hours? So after at least 10 hours of work, and I put in a longer day than that, but a 10-hour day, at least 8 hours of sleep, God willing, and I always hope to get that. You're already at 18 hours. You've got 6 hours left. You've got to decide what you can get the most out of in those 6 hours. Is it, focusing on your family? If you've got small children, you're going to have to check homework. You're going to have to, be the Uber dad or Uber mom. You've got those responsibilities. That's another 6 hours. But you've got to decide how you're going to spend those 6 hours. You may only be able to spend 4 hours on those activities because you may have 2 hours of work to do when you're at home. But you've got to make sure every hour counts of every day. You should be scheduling, and it's very interesting because I just had this conversation with high school students yesterday. If you want to do something for entertainment or for pleasure, you need to schedule it. Do not wake up in the morning and just decide that whatever the day offers, that's what I'm going to do. Because you're never going to maximize your success that way. If you just work, even if you put in 10 hours a day and you just wait for your friends to call you and tell you, let's go out and hang out and, have drinks or whatever, you're never going to maximize your success. If that's all you're waiting for, you're never going to maximize your success. So we cannot do that. You might schedule something. Okay, Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, right after church, I'm going to brunch with you. You can do that. But every day can't be whatever the day provides, that's what I'm going to pursue. That will not allow you to maximize your success. That will not allow you to get more out of your career. It's not going to happen. We've got to have structure. We've got to have discipline. We have to have structure, organization, and discipline. We have to, if we're really going to get the most out of your career. That's just the bottom line. We can't be all over the place. It's a distraction. There's too much going on. And you're never going to have peace. Because you're going to need that peace to be strong enough to further your career. So if you really want to get more out of your career, those are the things you can do that will take you where you want to go. But you've got to be willing to do them. I was having a conversation with my wife and I said, I just read an article that a comment was made by an athlete that 20% of what we do is based on our talent. 80% is based on hard work. So I had to stop to think about that because, there's a lot about the 80-20 rule. You can go through them all. But the 80% of the people do 20% of the people do 80% of the work. You can go through the 80-20 rules over and over again. He's saying if you want to be successful, it's only based on 20% of your talent. Because think about it. People are talented. It's the hard work we put in after that. And I was reading this and I was doing a little thinking and about that comment. And I'm going to break that out. I know it disrupts the 20-80 rule, but I don't like disruption for the sake of disruption, but I like disruption for the sake of progress. So 20% of it's your talent, 40% is hard work, and 40% is smart work. Effective and efficient. Because you got to be efficient, and you can break that out any way you want to break it out. That's going to benefit you and make you perform at a higher level. But I thought about it and I said, okay, that's really powerful because that hard work is wrapped up in, smart work is wrapped up in that hard work too. Again, I made this comment to high school students yesterday and I said, one of the worst things society ever did was to tell people you don't have to work hard. You only have to work smart. You have to work both. You have to work hard and smart. You have to be effective. You have to be efficient. If you're going to be successful, yes, your talent is a factor, but it's about 20% of it. 10% in the left hand, 10% in the right hand. And your brain's in the middle. So you've got 20% of your talent is going to help you be successful. But working hard and working smart is going to allow you to maximize your success. And the reason I spent time thinking about that is because you can work as hard as you want, digging a ditch, digging a hole. You can work as hard as you want. But if you don't do it smartly, the rule of holes, when you're in a hole, stop digging. you'll just keep digging yourself in and not out. So I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, and I spent time meditating on this and I spent time praying about this because I thought it was very interesting. And I'm always looking for ways that we can enhance the quality of our lives, maximize our success, and enter into the fullness of God. So, I was meditating and I was praying and I said, okay, that's a great analogy of the 80-20 rule, but 20% of it's talent, 40% is hard work, 40% is smart work. Got to be effective, got to be efficient. Got to have some talent. You got to be proficient, but you got to work hard and you got to work smart. You got to be effective, you got to be efficient. And if we can do those things, we're going to be in such a much better place in our lives, building a great quality of life. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. And if you order from Charles Tyrwhitt right now at ctshirts.com, you will receive 3 high-quality cotton shirts for $99. You'll save over $200 by buying, I think it's about $228 that you save by buying from Charles Tyrwhitt right now at ctshirts.com, where you will receive 3 high-quality cotton shirts for $99. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. And if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And right now they have a sale on some items where you can receive up to 50% off at thewhitecompany.com. If you are in New York, stop in at the retail store. However, you can shop online at thewhitecompany.com. Both companies will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. Don't be dismayed by the fact that they are based in London and the UK. They both will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated someone you worked with recently asked you out on a date. You said you are interested. However, if it does not work out, it could be awkward. Things at work could be awkward. Yes, they could. You have to decide what's most important. Is it most important to you to go on a date, or is it most important to you to further your career? One of the things you always want to do also is, just because he asks you out on a date doesn't mean you have to go. Listen. Get to understand him first. And then you can make a real educated decision on, is it worth it to pursue a relationship with someone that things might get awkward if they don't work out? If you get a better understanding of who he is, and you get a better understanding on, what a relationship might look like with him. That's the first thing that you want to do, and before you start making decisions on whether or not you want to date, you gotta look at the big picture and decide what's most important to you. If your interest is more important than your career, then you've got to make that decision. However, just remember this: you work so you can eat. So dating someone doesn't guarantee that. And you might enter into a relationship that is not going to be long term, and then you'll be looking at this person for a very long period of time, as long as you're with the company. So you may want to just take into consideration that it may not be worth it. Focus on your career. There'll be others, and if you ever leaves the company and you decide that you take an interest, then pursue it at that time. Right now, you need to focus on you and your career, your professional career. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com.